Everyone knows that Assassin's Creed is about being stealthy, often parkouring over the rooftops instead of staying on the ground. So that begs the question, can you cross the map without touching the ground? Maybe. I did a challenge to find out. I chose Syndicate as my title of choice since it's just one location, and it offers a bit more variety, I feel, than a game like Unity, so it might actually be more difficult. The rules were simple. Kinda. No touching the street or water. Rooftops, fences, trees, the tops of carriages, anything slightly off the ground level was fair game. And I could only use the rope launcher if it was absolutely necessary to proceed, because otherwise this wouldn't even be a challenge. That thing is kinda overpowered. I was not allowed to drive carriages, because that would obviously be too easy as well, and the final rule was that I was allowed to make mistakes. If I touched the ground, I could just return to the previous high point I was on, like checkpoints, because otherwise this would have been pretty impossible. These little assassins do not like to go where I want them to go, and I didn't want to restart anytime they decided, you know what, the ground looks pretty nice to walk on. I started at the north end of the map in the Strand, and my goal was just anywhere along the southern or eastern edge around Lambeth. I was feeling pretty optimistic, as the only thing I was really concerned about was eventually having to cross the river, but unfortunately trouble started quickly, as I was almost immediately stranded on a gazebo because the surrounding fences were apparently too thin to walk on. Perfect! Okay, jump to the barrels. No! Okay, see, that didn't count, she walked. That's why I used the rope shooter, the only time I used it in the entire challenge. So I think I deserve a bit of applause for that at least, right? The challenge continued pretty easily for a while, with plenty of ropes hanging between buildings to help me cross wide streets. There were a few frightening experiences, but we made it out okay. Good news, folks, there's another rope here, which means we can... Oh! That was almost disastrous! Okay, got a little balcony here. Sweet. Sweet. Oh, okay. Okay. Huh? Not... What? That was a weird glitch. I was helping Evie Fry become the #1 floor as lava champion of 1868. But then I had to start making some tough decisions. Oh no! It's fine, we can do this. You see, there's just this big, wide road in front of us. But it's not like we can't go sideways and approach it differently. And I just don't know if it's cheating to say I could run on the rail on the, like, the side of a bridge. Cause yeah, it's kinda like a fence. But it also just feels like cheating. But any other choice might have ended in disaster, so I just went for it. Boo, Emma, you loser! You used something really easy! Yeah, well, take it up with my lawyer. Once we had crossed the Thames via train tracks, I had made it 11,100 meters from our starting point, which was over halfway to our destination. I switched from Evie to Jacob to give them both a chance to be parkour gods, and, well, unfortunately things got hairy, and Jacob wasn't quite the parkour god I had hoped for. The southern half of London in the game is a lot less densely populated with buildings, which means you need a lot more creativity than just jumping from roof to roof. And that's where it gets time-consuming and difficult. I mean, it's all proven in my facts. The first half with Evie took about 18 minutes, and the second half with Jacob took 47. Things started out alright for the first few minutes, but the weird limitations of the parkour in this game kept getting in my way. Oh, wait, there's these things? Haha. Oh, okay. Restart. Checkpoint. Why won't he jump on them? Doesn't he think that would be super cool to get across the road by jumping on these little platforms? Okay, clearly this is not working. There's people like making out across the street. I feel uncomfortable. But we made it through like the champions that we are. That is, until we had to cross another wide street. My new nemesis. It was right next to a bridge though, so I made a kind of creative plan, if I do say so myself, to crawl under the bridge to the other side. And that did work after a bit of effort. But once I was on the other side of the street, we had a problem. The spot where I came out wouldn't let me jump to anywhere else I could use to progress. Okay.
We're having a bit of trouble here. Oh, come on.
So my next genius solution? Well, there was a lot of traffic beside me. I thought I could jump onto a carriage so it would simply drive forward enough for me to get past this rough spot. And that did not go to plan. I basically just caused a traffic jam and got nowhere.
Seems to be a bit of a traffic jam.
Help! It's a hijacking!
It's not hijacking, I'm literally just standing here. If you want something done right, shoot someone. Okay, can we make the jump? Please! Are you kidding me?
I quickly gave up on that and went back into the river to find a different way around, which only brought me back to where I had previously been stuck. To say I was frustrated is an understatement. However, I realized there was a very teeny tiny fence I could walk on. Again, maybe it was cheating because the character walked on it as if it was ground instead of a fence, but, you know, I have eyes, it looks like a fence, I used it. And then we were back to making progress, baby. I even had the chance to hire some rooks to help protect me from being murdered, and we hung out on top of barrels like best friends do.
I got my gang of thugs. Just living life. Me and the boys. On a Saturday, you know.
Anyway, they didn't help much and were pretty bad friends because I had to pause my challenge to kill a lot of blighters myself. But it was alright because I needed to steal some bullets from them anyway. You need a surprising amount of self-defense just to cross London without touching the ground.
Well, I could use some more bullets, boys. Thank you for your contribution to the cause. Yes, it is, ma'am, and it's a rather nice one, too.
Fun fact, if you want a carriage to move, but there's no driver, just shoot the horse. It worked wonders, and will also surely get me put on some animal abuse watch list.
FBI, open up!
Hey listen, I love horses, it's just a game, I promise.
That's the power of a gun. You get to control traffic when you have a gun.
Again, we had a nice stretch of casual parkour, no real brain power needed, which was good because my brain was fizzling out. I had to keep using that checkpoint system of mine, yes, but that is the game's fault for not letting me control the characters as much as I need to be able to. Are you telling me they designed this game without the possibility of me coming up with this challenge? That's not fair. We got to some elevated train tracks, and I started abusing the power of the tiny railings next to them. But I immediately felt bad about it, so I did some expert parkour to travel beneath the train tracks. Beautiful, right? Definitely didn't struggle with that at all. After working at all this for an hour, I started to lose my soul and become an empty shell of an assassin. But before long, I recognized buildings that let me know we were nearing the end. And, well, it was a pretty anticlimactic ending once I got there, but at least I did it, right? We crossed 1,900 meters across London without ever using the normal road. Yeah, I failed like 6 times and fell off, but I still proved that it's possible if you're actually good at the game and have both the skills and patience to do it perfectly. Unlike me, a very impatient and poor player. Anyway, this is absolutely the least convenient way to travel in Syndicate, as I was traveling at a rate of 1.1 miles per hour overall. Yes, I am a nerd who decided to calculate that. But even though this is no measure of actual necessary skill in Assassin's Creed, it was a pretty interesting challenge, I think, and I'll try it again in the future with more strict rules. I think I can do it without ever using the rope shooter at least, and we can try not using the sides of bridges or train tracks. So let me know if you think I should try this again, or if I should try it in a different Assassin's Creed game like Unity. Until then, I'm going to keep trying other game challenges if you guys enjoy watching them, because I am here to entertain, and I hope you will have a very groovy rest of your day. Cheerio!